Yep.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Womp Cult, and I'm joined here by
The Jamie.
the Jamie. And today, we're going to be doing the Womp Cult podcast, Womp Cast, whatever you want to call it. So, if that
I
excites
like
you,
that.
feel free to stick around. First, though, off rip, we're going to start a little game so we can ping pong easier. I don't know
Yeah,
what
let's game.
I don't know what Battle Tabs is, but it looks cool.
Okay.
It looks sweet, actually.
Let's authorize.
Get started. How to play. There's a 5-minute tutorial, or we could skip. What are we doing? We should probably. I guess we could do the tutorial.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Never played it before. It's chill.
Yeah. Hey, Captain. We need your help. Dude, is this just Raft Wars but 3D? Nah, dude, this is Raft Wars 3D.
Jeez.
Oh, I can
loud.
make my pirate. I can't change the as an eye patch. Okay. I can't change the color of their hair. Alright. I'm gonna name them fighting name. One in spirit, of course. It's weird that these are like bona fide games.
Right.
Okay. Each ship has a unique ability. Wait, why is this like an actual game? Dude, this is cool.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh.
Are you also playing?
Character creation.
Yeah.
I think so. Oh, this is kind of sick. I guess I could have changed my name. Rip.
That's okay.
Blurp. Blurp. Oh, we're playing against each other? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, we are. The rest of the countdown.
This is terrible.
Basically,
Okay.
oh my god,
Let me
this
see.
is so deep. Mini.
Hey.
That's awesome, man. This reminds me of I'll be in class. There are people who use the Discord farm game and are crazy at it. All right, I think I am. Oh, okay. I invited you.
Let me see.
I invited you to a game.
View invite. Combo.
Okay. Yeah, this is me. Drag. Oh, we have to move our ship positions. Okay.
What the fuck?
I'm ready. But first Womp Cult podcast. We've tried to do these in the past, but they haven't really got released because of multiple reasons. So we're gonna be playing some Battleship and talking today. Yeah, I mean, I think. Oh my God. Oh, all of my ship. Okay. All right. I I can't do anything. All my all of my ships want me to wait a turn.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
maybe I'm throwing. I'm not exactly sure what the meta is here.
Wait. I think. I think I can do something now.
That's not good.
Eh? My screen is like tweaking also. Graphics card does not like this game.
It doesn't. Uh-oh. Yeah, I can't blame it, I guess. I don't know. It looks like a very well done game, but there's, I guess the way it's done, it seems sort of graphically intensive. I don't know.
Right?
Okay. I mean, Womp Cult podcast. I think talking. How do you feel about the sort of craze of do you think that you would ever go on like an only liquid diet?
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
Not even for money.
How much money are we talking?
What if you could eat whatever you want as long as you blended it up for like 1,500 a week?
1,500 a week is nice.
1,500 a week is very nice. That's like half of your rent.
Yeah, that would cover the next place's rent.
Yeah, because
for sure.
You're winning, and I'm not. I have to live on campus. Not shud.
Yeah, but like the meta, if you can get, well, I guess this is the issue, right?
Yeah.
The good thing about the situation I'm in right now is that I'm rooming with guys who are essentially stuck here.
That's true.
For the amount of time that we would have had one anyways. So it's like,
yeah,
you know,
it's worth it. Yeah.
That's the problem of being in a, like, younger in college. It's like you're not going to be able to work as much or some shit to be able to actually keep up with it. But it's a better time to do it because more people are going to be there. And it's going to be cheaper, you know, just naturally. Which is kind of how those, like, frat things usually go well. With, like, 20 fucking guys illegally co-housing in a triple decker. You know?
Paying rent to...
You can save some racks while paying.
Yeah.
Right. You're basically paying chump change. You know?
Yeah. Am I not sunk in one of your things?
I'm just too crazy.
Am I an idiot? Oh, I am an idiot. I think it's... I mean, I think I'm gonna definitely say... It pisses me off so much when people are like, I got my first apartment for 3 nickels. You know, and it's like... Do not fucking talk to me like that. Like, I got my apartment... Whatever. Oh, really?
Yeah, it really depends on where you are.
Right.
That's even, like, viable. Like, some of the guys I've been talking to that are living in our hometown, like renting in our hometown, are not paying very much.
Are they renting?
And they're near a lot of good shit. There's some guys, not guys that we grew up with, but people adjacent to our college.
Well, that's the thing too. I know, like, I think the only place. Oh, I timed out. Oh, do you want a rematch?
You should do a different game because this shit is like tweaking on my
Let's do
screen.
a different game. I was trying to find golf. I know we both know how to do golf.
There is definitely a golf.
Where's the golf? I don't know what any of these are. These kind of just look like Roblox games. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, putt party.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
There we go.
This is
This is the one.
This is what I needed. Casual.
I think it's casual.
Alright, and now,
Casual Nation.
now we can actually commentate because we know how to do this one.
Right.
And it doesn't take like more than 8 brain cells to play.
Right.
Full screen this. Alright. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, have I explained this to you how I don't like golf in real life? Like
I mean,
normal golf.
have you played like real golf?
No, I don't ever want to. It's weird. It's weird and it freaks me
I agree with that sentiment.
because here's the
I agree with that.
Here's the thing that I don't get. Like, you have to dress up, and you're in, like, stuff. It's like, they make special fabric just to sort of, you know, just to make it so that they can wear basically business casual, like, in a hot summer day on a grassy field. You know?
Right.
Like, that's crazy to me. That's like me, like, wearing a suit to the gym. Like, why are we doing that? Who's doing that? You know what
Right.
I mean? I love some mini golf. You know, that's what I really do. I think that's my extent. I think that and hitting golf balls off that roof, that school's roof, with we were there. That was some good golf. I think as far as
Right.
Womp Cult is concerned, that's the only golf. I'm not really open to it either. I think I'm a very open-minded person usually, and that's one of the only things that I'm very about. Because why do it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just like a business bro thing.
It is.
Like a very old money thing,
Yeah.
which
It's weird
You
how
know.
that's like.
I can see through that and just be like, why are we not just getting lunch? You know, like I'm not trying to do like it's not even about, oh, I'm good at golf. It's about like, look at my expensive shit. You know, which is like not the vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh. See, because you can't do that. So where's the fun in it? Right? So, like, you can't do that. You know? So, like... Yeah.
Can't get the power up to make the balls. Okay.
Right.
Did you just fling me out of the map?
I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I never liked it. I think, but I think I'm trying to remember what we're. Oh, because I feel like
Yeah.
Clone High being awesome. Because,
Clone High
because
is awesome.
movies and shows that are well written have their own like art aesthetic, go a lot farther than
Mm-hmm.
everyone trying to copy Family Guy.
Right.
Because
Yeah, Family Guy was probably the one that killed it.
I think the issue too is, dude, am I
Well.
I think what killed it was that, and then the Rick and Morty, because then there are so many shows that are trying to
Mm.
like Rick and Morty, and it's like, dude, we
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's that, and I think that I don't know. There's something about like growing up and watching these shows, like in Ken's basement, or like localized, like watching waiting with a beer in your hand, like you said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
that is like there's not gonna be another movie like waiting.
Right.
There's just
But I think it comes from us knowing like what it is and like wanting to experience it like it was.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Right.
it was meant for a demographic. You can relate to it, but you're also like in the ideal setting. Like you're taking it in the way it was intended, which is kind of the whole thing about the streaming it or
Yeah.
like pirating stuff online is like you're watching it in such low fidelity format that it's like, oh, this is probably what it was like to watch it,
Yeah.
or in a shitty theater back in the day or some shit, but or like from a DVD store or something. I don't know, but you know, there is a sequel to that. I'm not
There is.
jazzed about watching that either.
You shouldn't. It's the same.
Is it good?
I think.
Okay.
I think you should watch it before you die. Just so you get like the lore of like the waiting universe.
Yeah. I think that's one of the good things about it, that I was okay with not knowing in terms of Clone High, where it was like, I feel like the fact that it ended so abruptly, I was like okay with that. And I was like, this is just how they're in like their own little universe, and it ended there, and there's no future.
Right.
Like, I think some people get so caught up in the narrative of it where they're like, this is like real life and it should progress. There should be change. There should be chronology to it, you know, which like, it's not Marvel.
Right.
It's not a history book. You know, like we don't need, it doesn't always need to be dynamic.
That's the thing is.
Like I almost like when the characters are more static in that way.
Yeah, and I think that it's sort of having tropes that makes it fun of and being kind of self-aware. Like that's why I like Nubby's number factory to be entirely honest with you. And I recorded a video recently that I'm editing, and I say it in there. Like, I really do hate pieces of media that take themselves too seriously when they don't deserve it. Like, there's nothing that like turns me off more than that. Like, a good piece of media shouldn't have to take itself seriously. The viewer should know that it's serious, or it just like, I don't know, it just shouldn't have to. I mean, at least for me.
The value should be determined by the people watching it.
Right, and
I don't think it's like the same as like music artists. Like if somebody acts like they started a trend or a genre, or they're like trailblazing something that you know they didn't, you're like, this guy's corny.
Dude, like JoJo's,
you know, versus a show, you know.
Yeah, like
Exactly.
To us saying they made pop music gay, or like,
Like you're literally appropriating hundreds of musicians before you that do it better.
it's not even that she's appropriating anything. It's just like dude, that's like me saying I like made glasses. There's no inherent value in that statement. It's just so absurd that the only possible way to interpret it is as rage bait. Like that has to be rage bait.
And it would be different if
It would probably be
someone else said that and they weren't related to her at all in any way. So you're like, oh, this is like, I'm putting my ear to the people who may or may not be fans of her. Because of like, it's like her manager or her saying, oh yeah, I did that. That's me.
dude,
Like you don't see people like Claro doing that, and yet she's everywhere right now. Like it's huge, you know?
who is Claire?
You do. You just don't.
No, it's clear.
You definitely do.
I believe you. I mean, sometimes I'm like an old man on TikTok.
Oh, I got rid of TikTok a while ago. I'm glad that I got rid of that, but it just transferred into Reddit and Twitter, unfortunately.
Twitter. I like that we use Twitter the way
God.
because then I can tweet about
It's so good.
my coworkers I don't like.
It's the way it was intended.
Yeah.
Pre-Musk.
If I have like a bad customer or something, I tweet about it. Because the thing is here's the thing. No one is gonna care if I tweet about like a customer I had or something because one, my Twitter's private. And you actually just what the fuck? You made my
Slammed
ball,
you out.
You made my ball. Also, dude, these guys
Get slammed.
next to us, they're like having a little fun time orgy, and I'm kind of sick of it. Okay, yeah, there they are. Like, what do they do?
Now we got like a great view of
Dude,
them.
Listen, the working
See, right up
class-
front.
The working class is not the working class. The youth doesn't want to work. Example A.
I don't know. The one on the bottom kind of looks like you, though. Low-key.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the fact that he's on the bottom, but he has glasses, so
Has
there's
nothing
that.
to do with the fact that he's on the bottom. Jack, can we click
Yeah, I
that?
just wanted to clarify that.
Right.
Now, there's something about, like, the thing we were saying about the shows. It's kind of like a general thing about media. There's something about a show that's self-aware, or like a piece of media that's self-aware that continues, but it's not like, it's not making fun of its own lore in a way that's like disrespectful.
I think
It's like a funny, like, building on it way.
I think Clone High. If I don't know how else to say this, so I guess this is the only way my mind can think of this as someone who I don't want to say I'm not qualified to talk about like art and media, because really, who is? So obviously, by that standard, I'm as probably as qualified as Anthony Fantana, right? But I think that Clone High is like the perfect Goldilocks on the spectrum that really is Seinfeld and like Rick and Morty, because I feel like Seinfeld's a show where it's self-aware of itself sometimes. It makes jokes about comedian's life, has to be sort of funny, but it still has that formulaic like thing to it. It is the traditional sitcom. Where a show like Rick and Morty knows it's self-aware and shoves it down your throat, and that's what I hate. That's where it's like too much. Like, have you ever eaten too much corned beef hash? You know, like it gets to a or like any
Nothing like the first bite.
nothing like the exactly. But then after
You know.
you eat it, it's like, man, I'm so sick of this. Like, leave me alone.
That's kind of how I feel about Chili's, though.
Really?
Like, having had Chili's 2 nights in a row
That was brutal.
and getting the exact same thing both times.
And our friend smashed a glass.
Yeah, that was. At least, like, Chili's is like the most unserious place. You know?
The thing with
Like, Chili's knows what it is.
yeah, I'd hope so.
You walk in at 9 p.m., you can still have
You're walking
2
in
drinks.
at 9 p.m. getting a triple dipper because that's like the TikTok people there. I think that the triple dipper is the Fortnite, like the Travis Scott meal of Chili's. I think it's less than
Well, I think ordering it the way that it is on the picture is.
yeah,
Like, there's a way that they have it in the menu
right.
that's like the way that Chili's wants you to get it.
Yeah,
And that's like when you start doing the crazy other shit,
yeah.
it becomes more of your own. Obviously, it's still a triple dipper, but it's like Nashville hot mozzarella sticks.
Nashville hot mozzarella sticks.
You getting some clout versus, you know, let me just get the big mouth bites and
I'd be getting the basic one.
chicken crispers.
Basic, dude. I'd be getting the chicken crispers, dude, the cookie skillet.
But you know it's gonna be good.
Yeah, that's true. Well, here's the thing.
It's gonna be consistent.
We, as a friend group, and even as people within that society that have been going to that Chili's forever, you know, we all used to be sort of in the same cult. We sort of all had that same zeitgeist about I'll have a queso burger.
Dude, I was trying to explain that to these new guys. It's like they don't even
They don't know.
their mind can't even comprehend what that is.
No, they can't. And the worst part is they don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Beatty Burger in that way.
It's it is and it isn't, right? Because I think
Oh,
fuck you. I think that
what was that?
I was like an ability that pushed you away. It's like a little bird.
Hmm.
That's broken. I think that the beady slop. Here's the thing about the beady slop, right? That you need to realize. And I think that the hopefully promises. When I'm at school, I weigh about 250.
Hmm.
You know how much I weigh when I come home usually?
250 million.
About 230. So
Okay.
that's all beady.
The BD cut.
That's the beady bulk, is what it is. And I don't know what it does to your stomach. Like, that's the thing is, they say a lot of colleges will put laxatives in the food. They say this, they say that. I know you know what it's like. And especially at school, where it's sort of this thing of like, it's almost like a poison. Like, I feel like someone who doesn't like believe in vaccines whenever I eat BD. Am I like, are we waiting for you? What's going on?
This keeps happening. I don't know.
What if we do tournament?
Yeah, we should try that. I know what you're saying about the.
Yeah, because the thing is,
It's you have to build up your immune system,
you literally
and
need
it
to
still
build up
affects you.
A tolerance. Yeah, you need to do like a tolerance, and to an extent. And then you come home, like you come home for Thanksgiving, come home for Christmas, whatever, and they feed you like a real ham, like from Demoulas, or from my basket, you know. They feed you the ham, and it's like, dude, it's like your body doesn't know what to do with actual food at that point. So then it freaks out a little bit. But like those first couple times home, it is scary. Holy shit. I am throwing. Oh, I thought you got it in already. I don't know. It's really horrible. I think that's also why so many people will go to the park before eating, because getting violently high, go to the park, makes it so much easier to eat the stuff. Because then it's like, such classic ad. And
Like at least you're enjoying it.
right, you're enjoying
You know.
it. You're a pig who's happy with their slop, as Chuck would say.
Exactly.
But no, I have been playing a lot of the W Number Factory recently. It's good. Like I said before. For any viewer who's curious on what I keep saying before, is we did a podcast in Womp Cult. Didn't have their mic picking up any audio in OBS.
Shout out OBS.
Shout out OBS. If you want that content that has no audio, you can go on my Patreon and pay for it.
That would be so funny.
That'd be really funny if I had a Patreon
If you like.
of all of my outtakes. It's just me making funny goofy faces. For For $3 a month, guys, you get silly faces. The best silly faces that you've ever seen. Your money back. Okay.
I don't know what's happening
I keep
this
getting,
game.
like, stuck in the ice and the... Oh, finally.
Oh, you're actually playing.
Yeah, I am playing.
I can't even see you.
So, I'm on the ice.
It looks like it's just frozen.
No, there's ice and... I think this was one of the earlier ones, so it's probably not as worked on as much, or as maintained as the boat one we were playing.
Right, right. Optimized games.
But... No!
Discord itself.
Please.
Something's happening.
Something's happening, dude. I'm trying so hard. I'm gonna time out. I'm not even joking, because I keep getting pushed around by the bumpers and the... Yeah. That is embarrassing.
Question is, can I see you now? Because I couldn't see you before.
I'm gonna make you fart.
Right. Yeah, no, Nubbies sounds cool now that I know what it actually is.
Yeah, so... They asked me to... But it's basically just like roguelike Peggle, that's what it is. And I think it's Balatro. I don't think I'm gonna play Balatro for a while just because, like I said before, yeah, I really do think it's like a good game. And that it's like plugged to a point where I know it's like one of class be like, I want to play Balatro. Or I've seen Jake play it in class.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, when it's got like its own wiki and people have it open while they're playing, you know, it's gonna be rough. But I feel like in terms of like skill curve, I could never get into shit like that. Just in terms of like investing time. Oh, I can see you, but it looks like you're on a different hole and you're not moving. So that's cool.
That's heat, man. Why is the one game
Like I've been playing these holes and you're just not even
why do the
there.
one game we want to play like fucked? That is, it's so over, dude.
You get those guys on the side though.
How is this even dead?
So you know.
Yeah, the stupid guy. The stupid.
Right.
Dude. Those are the kind of guys who like con you out of your like your pension. Like they walk up and they're like, oh, you know, they sound super nice and they're bunch of squishy cubes. Am I even allowed to, am I gonna get canceled? Am I allowed to call them cubes? Is it over?
Chat, is it over?
Chat, is it over? Chat, what the fuck's happening? No, but I don't know. I think that. So let's.
I know what we need.
What do we need?
I know what we need.
What do we need?
I know what we need.
Or is it a different game?
I know what we need.
Oh, are you doing poker? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
this is just better. Yeah. So
Let's put some bots in here.
poker's good. Speaking of Balatro, poker.
That's what I'm saying.
My boss at my old job asked me if, or what one of them, same one I talked about earlier, was like, do you not play Balatro because you don't know how to play poker? And I was like, what did you just say? You don't think I know how to play poker? What? Okay.
That's one of those things that like I'll unk out on when I'm talking to people, they're like, "No, you play cards?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Do I?"
Do I? You know it.
Like, I seriously, poker is one of those things that if I was drunk enough, I would probably play at a casino.
Yeah. I mean, we
You know.
have in the basement of that good old house we go to, we have
True.
we played.
True.
But he just actually stole me. Highway robbery. Holy fuck. Damn.
It was a good hand.
It was a.
I got a good hand
I
there.
had an okay.
It was luck.
I had a tree with no branches. It's like getting a cat that has no kidneys. You know, like what are you supposed to do with the thing?
We do really gotta. I've been talking to different groups of people about going out,
Yeah, we should.
playing some slots.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much
You were gonna play a table game?
money I got for. I don't have like any money for that. That's my issue. I have to save it.
That's part of the problem.
Because while that is fun, the last time I went was not good.
You lost it all.
I lost it all, as you know. But I mean, it's always a decent time. I think. I don't know. I think I want to.
I mean, that's the thing about slots is if you can go in with like 20, 30, 40 bucks, you can have an hour's worth of fun.
I think you should
Go get a burger at Shake Shack.
online blackjack at that point.
See, I saw one of our old buddies doing that. And I was like, that's when you get addicted. Because it's not like you gotta wait until we're hanging out.
No.
It's not like you
No,
gotta,
I mean
you know,
online
it's not as
blackjack.
fun.
I mean online blackjack at the casino.
Oh,
Because,
well.
because it costs less. That's the thing. Because the
See,
minimum is
those ones seem doable.
Yeah, that's how I made a bunch when I was there. That I lost it all.
There's still a shit ton of people at them. Like the ones where you can have more than one person there.
That's
It's like a million people
it's insane.
zombieing over it.
Think about... I gotta stop. What are we doing?
That's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'm doing.
Shut up, Clyde.
Shut up, dude. Clyde is big ballin'. Clyde's paying for other bosses' oil. You know what I mean? He is.
Right.
They are really winning.
Clyde is like our real life poker buddies.
Yeah.
Getting us that Duncan.
I think I'm gonna.
Oh. Okay.
I think this is gonna be a big win for me. I can feel it. Right, guys? It's funny because they can see my comments. Oh my god. This is so fucked. You know it's
Side
bad
pod.
when it made a side pod.
Yeah, side
I
pod.
better be getting something.
Oh man.
They had high card? Nah. Yeah.
They. I just jugged you.
You just jugged me. Damn.
I think I can let you buy in now, right?
I think it might be after.
Can't you just? Damn.
But that's the thing is, I don't mind playing a couple of card games.
Dude, that was the thing about the good old days in the scouting world. Like, that was the shit. You go to, like, a place out in the middle of nowhere with kids you've never met from all over the world,
Yeah.
and they just be playing cards. And you be
Yeah.
learning for 5 seconds, and then you're playing.
And then you act like you've been playing your whole life.
Yeah, you start winning, you're like, all right.
Yeah.
But No, they really liked Magic the Gathering. That was one I never got into, but they loved that shit.
I don't know why I'm so tired.
That's why you need the Cafe Bustelo, boy.
No,
You need coffee.
I actually think I need to take something. Yeah, I need to take my chud pills.
Chud pills.
Whoa. Alright.
There we go.
Alright, here we go. So I'm down $1,000, technically.
Right. We can keep score across the
Yeah, I gotta take
the games
I wanna
here.
kill Clyde with my bare hands. I wanna feel their blood.
You just gotta know when to fold them.
Know when to hold them.
Dude, the craziest shit ever is probably the 2 best games I've ever played were during both New Year's parties when I was like borderline blackout.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
That's fair.
Mr. Hanna's extravaganza.
Yep.
It was like being
Also the one time
like that room too. Dude.
I think the best part was the amount of money we've made off of that old house we go to. You know what I mean? In the basement where they play cards and.
It's because they take it so seriously.
Well, so they take
It's a mind game.
They take it so
If
seriously.
they take it seriously and you can just ride that wave.
Yeah. But the other thing too is because it's always a great time, and I like it. But there's been so many times I wake up with more money. Or there's been a couple times where I wake up with more money in my pocket than I went there with. And I remember thinking, how the hell did that happen? How am I making money while I'm like inebriated? What is that?
The $20 pot.
Fucking it's an inside job, dude. No, but I mean, yeah.
They be counting cards and shit.
They are, do they?
I'm never gonna have the time for that.
I did not know that. They are really into it. I also just like.
No, they do, because when one of the cards gets flipped over, like from the deck, it needs to be reshuffled. That's the only reason that you would need to do that. Because if you're in your mind, you're like, oh, there's been one of these and one of those, so that means that there's some of these, right?
Yeah.
And then one of those cards gets shown, you're like, so it can't be that. That might fuck everything, you know. And you would think that it's not that deep, but it's a play style. Some people heavily rely on calculating their odds actively.
Right. And when
But-
you're playing for money, it makes sense. Especially the amount of people. I remember there was a big amount of people, so it was a decent stuff.
Yeah, I mean, at those parties,
Did I jump you?
not so much. There's definitely guys that are better there. But that's why I was hype, because I was like barely conscious. And I had actually a good pile. And people were like getting up and rotating and stuff. That's the one that I never forget, is when we went to
Yeah.
the dirty old frat.
The dirty
People were getting up. Getting up from the fucking table. Buying out. Are you kidding? I'm
No,
not here
that's-
for the money. I'm here to play
that's what-
poker.
that's what
You're
was-
ending the game?
No, that's what was crazy to me is, I remember that because there was some dude where, I don't know what party it was. Also, is that? No, that wasn't. Okay, I don't know why I thought you meant a different place, but that like house.
Yeah.
I thought you meant an actual frat, and I was geeked.
No, the same one where we put money down on pawn
Yeah,
games.
The pawn games, yeah. Well, the thing that I remember is, I don't know why, but it was like these 2 girls got there, and they were talking to one guy, so that guy buys out, and then 2 more rounds go by, and 2 other people buy out, so because they want to go smoke or something, and basically within 5 minutes of those 2 girls getting there, it was like me, you, the host, and like one other dude still playing, and we're like, all right, let's just cash everyone out.
Right.
which was crazy to me.
Mm-hmm. And to think that sometimes between like
The Pong games,
when we're just playing, we'll play with 3 people for hours on end, and it's still fun.
yeah.
These motherfuckers are ending the game with 4 people because
I think part of
it's not cool.
I think part of the issue is that they should play it in the garage or something where there's not a lot of foot traffic, because where they had that was the worst spot for it ever.
It's so easy to see that after having gone to the New Year's parties.
Yes, but the other issue is
Part of you is like, where is everyone? You show up, it's like you're in a fucking casino.
But the other issue too is like, I think with that place is that's just a small place, and that place is always cramped.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
But you would never expect to walk into a place like a setting like that and it be a poker game. Which is kind of my thing. It's like on one night there's a DJ and people are nuts to butts.
DJ. Shout out Crypto.
Solo cups everywhere.
Yeah.
Shout out Crypto. And yet you walk down there, it's like dead silent, and there's money. Like it's the problem is, like we've played longer games with better players for free.
Yeah, I mean,
And I step into a thing with randoms and we're putting money down, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna jug them.
to an extent,
Like this is gonna be enjoyable.
To an extent, yeah. I feel like I feel like I've only ever jugged people at like one big poker game, and it was the poker tournament for school, and I got placed like 3rd or 4th. And I remember everyone there was in the poker club, and they're like, "You should come," and I was like, I don't know.
That would have been fun.
The tournament is fun.
Poker club?
It's okay. I don't know. They seemed off a little. I don't know. You know
We should
how-
be their like alumni
No, I should.
coaches or some shit.
No, I mean, you know how it is at school where people seem kind of off, and you know, it's like, interesting.
Shout out Milk Club.
Shout out Milk.
Not in the off way, but like shout out Milk Club.
Yeah. Shut up.
Made me think of that.
Made me think of that, dude. Milk Club. They used to have a sandwich club before Milk Club, but I guess it got disappeared because of like political infighting. Did you know that?
Yeah, Sandwich Club was like one of the things that they talked about when I was at my orientation.
Yeah.
That was like one of the big selling points for the clubs. They were like, you gotta join Sandwich Club. Which, like, thinking about how the sandwich shop is and how seriously me and my friends take that, I would have ended up there if it stayed strong,
I mean,
but,
I
you know.
think it's definitely odd. I know a big thing with Milk Club that someone had told me before, which was like the breast milk thing isn't funny. I remember I had a class with one of them, and I was like, huh? And they're like, it's a whole thing, just never, because someone was bringing it up, and they're like, we're not even supposed to acknowledge it if someone like brings it up. Like, you're supposed to act like they're not talking. And I was like, that's wild.
Like, it's that prevalent that they
That is an
have
issue.
a way to deal with it.
Yeah, like
There's a whole
which
set
I
of
guess
steps to
can
deal
sort
with
of
that.
be expected because it's a college, but I don't know. It's
Yeah, I mean,
odd.
would you not think that people would take it more serious? I mean, it's Milk Club
That's what I mean.
at its foundation.
I
You're
know.
like, it's a little silly,
Yeah,
but
which
you know, some of those guys just want to have some milk, just want to hang out, and
That's
people
true.
like you send the one guy in who has never been to a meeting as like the jolly prankster, as the fall guy, and he goes in to say it, and then you send in another guy to say it next time. They don't know who these people are, and they're just like,
Milk Club.
How is this happening?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, at least for me, or I want to talk about something you were talking about earlier before we cut.
yeah,
Because my mic wasn't on, which I feel like, because we were basically talking about how the school sort of, whether they intend to or not, but it seems like to an extent it is intentional through some professors, that they sort of haze you into having this obsession of wanting to be better. And
yeah,
I feel that too, even as someone who's not in architecture, right? Like I do computers, and I feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's more of an our school thing, which I think makes sense when you consider like how many times have I been at school and I have like a weird side gig going on,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Or,
Most of the time.
right. And I do these like weird things because if I don't do them, like I'm just not gonna get a co-op, which we need to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we have this
Yeah.
very weird philosophy because we're like a nerd school, and we have this weird philosophy of you need to work hard and you need to exhaust yourself, and you need to like get all this and be perfect and get an internship, and you need to do something where people will act like you're Phineas and Ferb and be like, oh, aren't you kind of young to be working on like stem cell research or something? And you'll be like, yeah, yes, I am. And
Mm-hmm.
because if you don't do that, you just won't get a job, I feel like, is the takeaway. And I think
This
that,
is what I just thought of that I didn't even think about before.
yeah,
That people will be able to relate to, maybe not in this example, but in something. Think about like, I'm thinking like the highest rank of the scouting shit, like all that stuff. Once you get to that point and you have that, and you realize who else has that, and that they didn't go through what you went through,
yep,
you're like, I want to make sure that the people who are doing this
go through
get
it, go through.
what I got out of it, or like,
Right,
they get the punches thrown at them, because I took it seriously. And I think that that's what they're trying to do,
yeah,
where it's like, immediately when I graduated, I was like, I started to feel that, where I was like, now I have a degree. Does it feel like that? No. So it's like, and there's so many people around me that like have no idea what the hell they're doing. And a lot of them are going on to the masters. And it kind of just feels like a pay to win in that way.
right,
And I know the professors want you to be passionate, but there's also a pressure of them being penalized for saying the wrong things, doing the wrong things in terms of being like a mentor, where it's like they want to light a fire under your ass in a way that you're not going to be like, this person's a dick. Like they want to make you passionate
yeah,
in like a circumventing the norm way, but it kind of, most of the time when you're dealing with so many other life things, when you have to work on the side, when you've got like all this other like
right.
relationships going on, it's just not,
It's a
you don't think about it that way
yeah,
until it's over and you're like, oh, I'm just on the other side now. Like what does
no, yeah,
this mean?
and the thing,
Yeah,
and that's sort of the thing is, I don't know, man. I look at some of the classes I've had, and I feel like I've had like a whiplash experience about it. Like, fishing game like broke me. Fishing game broke Michael, and like you guys even had a professor talk about us and talk about our fishing game, which doesn't work.
that was the craziest crossover
Yeah,
ever, because it was just an elective and I had my head down and then all of a sudden fish game. I'm like,
yeah.
dude.
Which I'm pretty sure I talk about in like my college video, but in case you haven't seen that, basically, it was me and my friend's project for a class. He like got it going because I was working on one of our other projects, and then he was like, "I'm so done with this." We had a group partner that was just dead weight, like didn't do anything. The only thing they did was add fish. Like a quick explanation to sort of sum it up, because I want to keep talking about what we're talking about, and I don't want to derail it. If you know anything about programming, or if you don't, this will be a really easy way to understand it. In the GitHub repo, which is where all the changes to the code get made, so basically the history of how the fishing game got made, I had around 30 changes. My roommate had around like 20-ish. This other dude who was dead weight had 2. His name isn't even in the code. like you're supposed to put it on there further. It wasn't in there because I know I wasn't putting his name, and that like physically broke me. Because like how many nights was I up working on that and just slaving away for like no reason basically just to get to class and have him not do like one thing. Because I remember there's one night we were all going out and we asked him to do one thing and he didn't even do it right. And it's the same thing I know with like architecture and your experience where it's like, you know, I know it's like a common thing because you guys work together in groups. And it's a thing where it's like, hey, it's fine if you don't like my idea, but at least present your own to counter it. Like, if you're making a roof, and I want the roof to be tile, and you think the tile clashes with the design, tell me why. Like there needs to be a conversation. Dude, $30 is too much for the boss. What the hell?
Smarter than I am. But this is like the thing. This is what I'm saying. Like this is more valuable than some of the coursework.
Yes.
Is having that like psychotic break and being like, this is what the real world is.
Yeah.
Some people don't give a shit.
Right.
And my name's on there too. So I need to fucking do something. Which like, in some ways, it's acknowledging that like that guy had a tenth of your guys' work. And had 0% of the morale. Like, was not invested, couldn't have explained it if someone asked him to. You know, like, just wasn't there. Which, like, in some ways, it makes sense that some group projects kind of go in the way of, oh, this guy's dead weight, so we're not going to let him in the loop.
Yeah.
But then you kind of put them into this, like, feedback loop of, like, never
because that was
getting a, like, you're not pushing them to do something at that point.
Basically our group partner after that. We've only had two, me and Mr. Hanna, and they were both awful. Because the other dude, like, at least with the first dude, he acknowledged that, like, he kind of basically wasn't doing anything. And we, like, accepted that. This other dude basically wanted us to, like, walk him through how to do his part of the project.
Right, and in a group project, is it my job to teach you the thing when it's, like, something that we're supposed to show we know how to do?
And the thing is it was a super confusing topic, and I remember my teacher for that class, dude, damn, my teacher for that class got pissed because everyone would always ask for extensions on their work, like always. But this kid just like wouldn't do anything, and I remember it got to a point where me and Mr. Hanna were like, dude, just put it into ChatGPT and call it. Like, I don't know what you want from us. Like, and it didn't work, obviously, and it was just frustrating because it's like, we barely know how to do our stuff. I'm not gonna do your stuff for you and then say you did it. That's not how this works. Like,
right, but that's the thing. You get up there to present something like that, and maybe sometimes you like lob them.
Right.
You give them the alley-oop, and they can't. There's nothing in there. You know, but everybody's gotten up to present something that they didn't know anything about. So I know how that feels, but there's also like, in some ways, you need to own up to that and look up something before you go up there, so you can just riff off anything.
Yeah,
because that's your grade at the end of the day.
I think, like, for programming projects, me and Michael have kind of only had bad group partners. The one we had most recently was great. It was Wesley. That dude was locked, you know.
Wesley.
No, but he seriously was locked. He was anxious when he was like presenting, and he's like, I'm not gonna lie, I was gonna smoke, but I didn't want to like fuck around with you guys just in case. And he was like actually just locked in and dialed.
Yeah.
So it made us doing the whole project so much
easier.
Because he did his work, contributed to the, like, he you know what he was? An actual human being. Because, and this goes back to, like, my roommate story I talked to you about, where, like, I don't even want to know what my old roommate is like, or what yours is like, for a group project partner.
Yeah.
Like, that is, it's horrible, dude.
I mean, their priorities surround I'm here and my parents aren't going to tell me to get off the computer.
Dude.
So
Real.
it's like
Well,
I have
also,
free dorm
yeah. Also,
and I can just game.
where we go to school too, you'd expect them to not be like that. Like, we're in a city. You can
See,
do
that's what I
anything you
thought.
want. And
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But there's so many people that go to school with us that like know nothing about
it's
anything like outside of these 5 blocks around campus.
yeah,
Like they have not. Some people don't even know how to use the train,
right.
and I'm just like, guys,
It's the train.
like go get a sandwich, go sit in the sun. You know, like
So, yeah, just go experience
surround yourself with
something
people that you don't know.
other
Just
than-
be out in the real world for a couple minutes.
And that's the biggest thing that is hard for me to swallow sometimes, is that there are people who don't do that.
But I don't know if it's because I don't think it's as simple as not being comfortable. I think in some ways they're content with like knowing what's out there and just not doing it.
That's fair, I guess.
Like it's not a fear of being like, oh, I could be doing this instead.
Right.
Because that's like the first thing I think of. I'm like, okay, if they're a gamer, if they're a smoker, if they have the one hobby, it might happen
Yeah.
on campus. You know, they might stick to, maybe they're really involved on campus and they still don't get out. That's fine. You don't have to go to the dive bar. You don't have to go to the frat. I'm talking about like, I just don't,
Like, go to Wallace.
there's something that happens in your brain when you give yourself that and you're like, I'm an adult and I have enough money to go outside and do things just for one day,
Yeah.
you know, because sometimes you freak out. You're like, oh, I gotta, you know, all this work I gotta do. But think about the amount of times we've done actually enjoyable things that we're gonna remember for a lot longer that happened during times like that. And that was the kind of shit that would make me okay with like, oh, you want to go to the park? Let's go to the park.
Right.
Oh, you want me to come with? You're gonna go pick up some shit in
Yeah.
Cambridge? Let's go to Cambridge. Like,
Because
you know,
it's the thing of like you're so busy all the time with school and with everything that if you never make time for that, you're going to like lose it in front of a professor. Like you're gonna actually end up screaming at a professor or something. Like I guarantee it.
yeah. And you get mad because it's so easy to get frustrated when you spend so much time working and you show it to them and they're like, oh, like, I hope you weren't up all night. Like I was,
Yeah.
you know, like now I want to go out because you're telling me I can, but I know it's not going to be as good as if I did what like my potential
Right.
thrives off of just isolation and grind.
Yeah.
Just like lock in and grind, right?
Which is
But
healthy. Like that's definitely
no, and your work is not going to have any soul. You're not going to be able to translate your style, your mind. It's just going to be somebody's work. It's going to be the rubric, you know? And I think I'd much rather have something that I'm personally proud of and I actually learned a skill from that may not be a good grade.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I got shit grades when I was a freshman, but like there were so many times where it's like that almost was more impactful, which is kind of the thing like with the shitty group mate. It's like that's so nothing lights a fire under your ass more than being stuck with someone who just really doesn't give a fuck.
No, that's the thing.
You know?
And yeah, honestly, it's the other thing too is like there are professors I have where they're very, because it's different concepts. Like I honestly think if a professor said something like that to me, oh, I hope you weren't up all night, and I was, I think I'd probably want to scream at them, to be entirely honest with you. And I'm sure you felt that feeling. But
Most people will admit it. They'll just be like, "No, I was," and then they can be like, they can say whatever they want. It doesn't matter how they respond. I'm not looking for them to sympathize with me. I want them to know that that's what happened.
yeah,
Because if they say it and I don't do that, I mean, it's not like I expect them to grade me better or
no,
feel bad for me,
Yeah.
right? Like there's no sympathy part of that I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of some people stay up and some people don't.
Yes.
And I don't want you to lump me in with those people, regardless of the quality of work. It's like some people show up with something that they got off Pinterest and they didn't do anything like actual work and they get away with it. People graduated and they plagiarized so many times and they take that shit so seriously and they're like, don't plagiarize, like we'll catch you. It literally takes like more than 5 people to go to like a dean even to get it even looked at. And it's still,
Yeah.
We've seen faculty get fired over shit like that, where people will fight tooth and nail saying they didn't. So many people have. And it's just like, why are they here?
Yeah. Yeah.
We have too much people in our class, get rid of them. Those are the people you should get rid of. Because, like, even in high school, people would cheat. It wasn't as high stakes, whatever. I never did. And I learned the hard way that I should have. Because my fucking grades were bad. And I'm like, did I learn? Yeah. But I could have had a head start.
What you learn
you
is
know?
that if you don't play the game, you can still lose.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you learn, is that you need...
There's a perfect amount of game
Yeah.
that has to be played.
Right.
You gotta know when to fold.
And it's
But
not
that's,
that-
like, I never knew that.
Well, and the other thing, too, dude, I remember I was so bullshit, because I remember there was our one friend who, in high school, in the engineering classes, he would always cheat. And I know why he could cheat, is because the teacher would sit behind me, our engineering teacher. He'd stand behind... I can't remember if you were in this class or not. I think you were. But he'd stand behind me during the tests for, like, half of the test. Just behind me.
Yeah, I know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think it's because I quit the robotics team, so he had, like, a grudge against me. But then everyone else was near his desk just, like, looking stuff up. And it's
Oh, yeah, I had the desk directly next to his.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, from his office. He could be standing right behind me, and I wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
My ass was always looking shit up. This is before ChatGPT, too, so my ass was on Google.
Yeah.
I was looking up, like, I was knee-deep in actual forums and shit. It wasn't as easy back then, but motherfuckers were doing that. It was like a time trial. It was a speed run. Everybody was doing it. And you could see it. People were playing video games during tests and shit. Like, it was part of the nature. It's like having a bunch of people who know how to hack get bored. You know, like, you can't expect them to just be well behaved if there's nothing else. You know what I'm saying?
No, exactly.
But that class was a great example because I had enough respect for him because I wanted to do that kind of stuff.
Right.
But there was also like he's our friend, so I can do whatever. And he kept trying to like make it not like that.
But it was like that.
Which was lame. But it was always like that. Everybody knew that. And especially the people that did robotics, which I never ended up doing that. But it's like, he definitely liked some people more than others.
Yeah.
Which sucked.
And the thing with robotics is he wanted you to go to the robotics thing, and if you were on the robotics team, you just because
right.
He was like, if extra credit if you go to the robotics thing, and I think it was like a quiz grade. It was like an entire quiz grade if you went to all 3 of the teams or something, which is crazy. And the thing is the kids who are on the robotics team, it has to apply to them, so it's fair for everyone. And I remember I quit the robotics team because there was, like, the upperclassman who was, like, electrical lead, programming lead, like, whatever. And basically, people would, like, I remember my first meeting there. And I think there was, like, one meeting where it was, you don't know how to do this, like, go CAD a circle. And someone you know from your old troop, whose name is a popular team.
I know what we're talking about.
Yeah, he taught me how to CAD a circle. He's like, okay, like, they told you to CAD a circle? Okay, this is how you CAD a circle. I was like, cool, thanks, dude. He's like, yeah, cool. Great guy. I tell them that, and they're like, no, you didn't do it right. So it was basically just a thing of, I want to work on the robot, how it can help, and them saying, you don't know enough, so you can't work on the robot. and I was like, this is kind of fucking stupid. And then everyone I joined with quit, and I was like the last one. And I remember we went to a meet, and everyone had something to do besides me. I was in the stands. I was the only person on the team in the stands, and my job was to cheer. And I was like, And I remember I like called my mom. I was like, dude, can you come get me? Like, I don't think I'm gonna do this anymore. And that's why I didn't do.
Yeah, but that's what's nuts. It's like a microcosm of the group project shit though, because it's like, if you were them, and you're like, this guy doesn't know how to do anything, and I'm under a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Like the teacher, I like him. I want him to like me. I need to get this right. If he doesn't care enough about you delegating, and he's not gonna stand there and make sure that you're delegating,
right,
then you're gonna fucking tell him to fuck off. You're gonna give him, you're gonna have him go fetch coffees for the team. But then it's like, he's never gonna learn. He's gonna be discouraged. So are you a good leader? No. Are you still gonna be recognized? Sure. But then when it's over, when robotics is over, and you want to be friends, it's like, man, like, we did not bond through that. Like, that wasn't a thing that we did together. That was just like I was there.
right.
And it was kind of like lame. Like, there was so many things like that from my childhood that, like, if I really did give a shit about it, I probably would have tried to, like, intervene more. Yeah. But I just genuinely, there was no drive to do that.
That's what I mean. And I think the other issue with him, too, is he's a very... Not that he's, like, a bad guy, because he really isn't. He's a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think him being in, like, a leadership position is not the best.
Yep.
And I don't know if he leads by example, because I remember throughout the entire course, I'd always think, why isn't he an engineer? And I know we went to a school where it was pretty normal for the teacher who teaches, like, Latin. Like, our Latin teacher had what is it? Like, a PhD in, like, thermonuclear engineering or something.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
We had a couple teachers that were like that, where it's like, why are you teaching at a public school? Why the fuck are you here? And I don't really think we got a clear answer, so I get it to an extent, but he wasn't one of those people. And I don't know, it's just like, I think it really put a bad taste in my mouth for, like, working on team projects in high school. And, like, trying to do more stuff that I should have been doing. Because it's like, oh, if I have to do that, I have to deal with him. And I don't want it. Which, from a youth point of view, is not the best. But, I don't know. I was kind of a dickhead in high school anyways. Compared to how I am now. I mean, I think it only would have helped me so much. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about college, is, like, there's more skin in the game.
There's more skin.
High school, it's just like everybody's there, and you just kind of like, you're just...
Because in college...
You can phone it in.
Right, because in college, you can phone it in or you can work. And often you have to do both, right? Like, I went to my algorithms class maybe like 8 times the whole semester. I still passed, Did I pass with a good grade? No, but by doing that, I got a good grade in other classes. I think it's interesting too, because, I mean, I think if you're not careful, I don't know, I mean, I don't want to say college makes you, sort of enables, like, you being a drug user, because I don't think it does. But it definitely, I think it definitely makes it easier to become one.
It's a good environment for something like that to grow.
And it's good to understand that, like, I think it's a good way to practice at life. I think that's why a lot of people go to it, even if they might not want to, or why their parents want them to. Is so, because when you're 19, when you're 20, when you're 21, when you're 22, if you're in the area and you do something stupid, that's a funny story for later,
Yep.
Where there's that sort of, like, societal like like conditioning where it's like, if I tell you I'm not in college and I work a normal job and I get blackout every weekend, you're gonna think I have like a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden, if I'm studying computer science or architecture or something else, it's like, oh, it's fine because they're a college kid.
Right. In some way, you're like, okay, they earned
Right.
this break. It was always weird seeing people from class out when you knew you had something to do, though. You're like, oh. So are we both crash outs, or like, did we pass the shit in?
No, I know I used to talk to, it was someone at the house we played poker at, and I'd see them, and they're in my class, and that's how I became friends with them, because they're like, hey, you're here. I was like, did you do the lab today? And there's so many times where I'd see them on a Friday night, and we'd ask each other, I'd go, you do the lab tonight? And he'd go, oh, fuck, I fucking, I forgot about it, and it's already past due date, like, it's over at this point, you might as well not hand it in. Because I remember for that class, too, it was a 60-40 split. Or, no, it was 80-20. Yeah. An 80-20 split for a class. Can you believe that?
Mm.
So, 40 of it was the final, 40 of it was the midterm, 20 of it was these labs. And I can't tell you, there's one time I know, like, I was out, I remember it was like a good night too. Like I was like, man, finally I'm finally free of like all of this bullshit I had to put up with all week. It's the weekend, I'm a college kid, I'm gonna get blackout. Like, that's what happens. And man, that 3 saved you.
Right.
But basically, like, I remember
It becomes a reward system in a way, though.
It does.
Which is like, and
I think
for better or worse. I mean, in some people it becomes something because they haven't. I will stand by the fact that I would rather have, I think in like let's say like a laboratory setting, right? We have 2 teenagers coming out of high school.
Sure.
One did all the drugs, did all the partying, at least once.
In high school.
And then they're going to college. Yeah, they had already done it prior to college, but they're going to go to college. And the other kid, straight A's in high school, never did anything, and is going to like the same school. It becomes more tempting to the second one when they didn't have a choice, when they didn't think that they could. But that's what's like insane about that time period. It's like the parents are like, all right, go fuck up here.
Yeah. Yep.
Sink or swim here. By the time you're out, whether or not you fail out or you actually get out with something, have an idea of the stakes, right? Whether or not you learned anything, what's at stake. You know what it takes to stay afloat. And it's like some people, like, they don't have as much on the line. So they're like, I'm just going to fuck around and I'm going to just do this and I'm going to do that. But when it's just you and your transcript at the end of the day, or it's just like,
you and your transcript, dude, that's bars.
When the bar tab is in front of you, that's when the fun is over. But for some guys, it's like, it's not the bar tab. It's like buying drugs for the first time ever in college.
Right.
And getting hurt, or like, like some guys, they'll have, like, people will run into problems with relationships or people bothering them, like people problems that I just, you shouldn't want to have to face. Like, nobody wants to go into that scenario, but part of college, it's like you're being dropped into the middle of a battlefield. Like, you have no idea what you're up against until you're there, and you just kind of have to do what you're doing and see what happens. And it's not anyone's fault to be like, oh, why were you there? Why were you doing this? Because, like, I think everyone gets into the situation at some point. But that might be why some people try to avoid everything like that, because like I don't want to have that choice in front of me. I don't want to have that be in that environment
That's the thing.
with people that might be able to convince me to do something. But it's like in but this is the thing I was thinking. Is like when you look at the people that we grew up with
Yeah.
and how they're doing. Some people, it's like, I think it's not even that some people are doing better than others, because I think everyone has the opportunity to like find something that they can do,
Yeah, we
whether or not, no matter how long it takes, just like find something that they can do. I think in some ways, some people just haven't got that, or they didn't
No, this
find people, or they didn't like, there's no thing,
You want to know what this turns into? Which is what this leads into perfectly to this other thing, which one of my managers talked to me about. He asked me a question. This was one of the full timers at my internship. He asked me, "Why do you think less men your age are approaching women?" And I said, "I don't think that's true. I think they're approaching them wrongly and then getting discouraged." And basically, what I broke down, and he seemed to like my answer, but I was like, this is what happens, right? Whether you're like approaching someone to hit on them, or you're just existing at a party and someone comes up to you. But at the end of the day, you're a person, and you're going to have to introduce yourself to people, right? Whether it's in a friendly or flirtatious manner is up to you. I think part of it is that people don't have hobbies, or they don't know like who they are to an extent, and they're not fully comfortable with themselves, so they don't have confidence. And then that leads into when you're talking to people, you're not confident at all because you don't really know what you're selling. Because when you flirt on people, yo, I flirted all over her.
Yo.
No, but like when you flirt with people, you're trying to sell yourself. That's like what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you
Right.
want to admit that or not, that's what's happening. And if you don't have a hobby, it makes it way weirder. Like, I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
I know a perfect example is like Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How many times have you heard people call me Spider-Man or Michael SpongeBob, right?
Yep.
And that's sort of the thing of this is like, I think that's a good way to sort of to make sure you're understanding what I'm saying, because I don't know how clear I'm coming off, but it's like if I go up to someone and I'm comfortable with myself, I'm not insecure, I'm like, hey, they're like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I do XYZ, and I'm really into like, let's say I'm into model trains. Like an example, I'm into model trains, or like I'm into Legos. Like they're cool, whatever. I have a hobby, and it gets like brought up casually, whatever. Let's say I don't get that person's phone number, or I don't get their contact information. They leave, whatever. Instead of thinking that like, I think it's always better to be remembered as, oh, that's the guy who likes model trains. Like, you're a person to them instead of like someone who isn't, instead of like a random like filler background character, right? And
Mm-hmm.
to an extent you still kind of are, but I think what it comes down to is that the current way things are set up, there's this sort of expectation that in order to have confidence, you need to be this like hulking beast, and you need to have like, you need to be big, you need to have testosterone, you need to do all these things that are like very traditionally masculine. And what I've noticed is that I will do sort of feminine things in front of people, and they will associate it with being masculine because of my size, which is weird, right?
Yep.
And I think it comes down to whether I'm comfortable with that or not is a whole different conversation. It was kind of spewed out of the confines of the container I wanted it in. But I think it comes down to like being comfortable in your own skin and knowing who you are. And obviously that's a big question, but like I think it's important to understand that like, you know, you're valued as a person. You should be confident because you've gotten this far. You clearly belong wherever you are. And I think that's what it comes down to, sort of. But I feel like that was kind of in sync with what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, no, definitely. Because I think the problem is, like, it reminds me of the Jason Momoa thing, where, like, he
Yeah.
isn't like an Andrew Tate. He isn't like, that's not the vibe
Yes.
that he's supposed to give off even.
And the same.
The way
for
that they...
Jack Black.
Exactly. The way that they surround that and present that is kind of how I think about what you're talking about, where
Yeah.
it's not as much about, like, you could have a guy that's like 4 feet tall, stick thin, has no hobbies, and acts like an alpha. And still, you know, that just becomes, is that really who he is? Right? Are you being true to, because it's not about, like, you say that you're selling yourself, right, to this person. Are you scamming them?
Right.
You know, are they getting what they're asking for? Are they getting what you're showing them? You know, they're trying to see through you.
Are they like?
And if you're being genuine and opening up, they're gonna feel comfortable. You want them to feel comfortable.
Right.
You want to be yourself, because you also don't want to be stuck with someone who
what it's
is
about.
lame as fuck and has nothing to do with what you like. You know, you
Right.
kind of want to have something.
That's.
But I totally see the feminine thing. I try to explain that to some people in the sense that, like, I think it's a vulnerability thing too, where, like, if you just don't appear like you care about appearing outwardly masculine and like that kind of stuff, and you just do things but you like own it, instead of being like somebody's like, oh, you're wearing pink, like, are we not adults? Are we not at a party? Are we not having fun? Like, people dig that. People that I want to talk to would think that's funny. So I know that you are not my target audience.
Yeah.
Thank you for weeding yourself out. Boom.
It's
Okay,
like-
so now you're like, that helps you get through the crowd. You know, like,
It's like, I think it's what Larry David used to say, where he'd do stand up and he'd open with a joke, and I forget the joke, but it was basically, you know how in Spanish there's like Spanish or other languages, I guess it's a thing in English, but I can't think of it like that, where it's like there's like the formal tone, like, you know, in German how there's like the formal way to say something and there's like the
Right.
unformal. He'd make a joke about that, and he'd always say, oh, if they laugh at that, I know that's a good crowd.
mm-hmm.
And it's sort of the same way, where it's like, you know, because that's the thing, is like, if someone's funny, at least for me, if someone's funny, like, it's gonna be a thing where it's like, it's laughing and it's like, it's a good time. And I think,
Right, like, I want to feel like I'm with one of my friends.
right, like,
I don't want to feel like I'm like trying to win you
exactly
over with things that you actually don't give a fuck about.
and that you don't give a fuck
Like,
about,
you need to buy into it
like the charade
and be like
Yeah.
actually invested.
Right. Like, that's, like, you know, that's the thing. And I think, but I really think part of it is, because I think, I don't know, I feel like it's hard to give sort of, maybe we should start to do advice columns. Maybe we should, yo viewers, send in, at the bottom of this video, send in your advice for the podcast. And
Yeah, we should make like a,
we'll answer it.
like they talk about a scenario or some sort of advice and we can react to it.
Because I think that's a lot easier, because when you're giving like generalized advice like this, no matter what it's on, I think part of the issue is someone takes it as gospel and runs with it, which I think is funny. If you do that, if you take my word as gospel, dude, show me what your apartment looks like. Let's see like where you're living. It's definitely mattress on the floor. You know what I mean?
In that realm, it can be a double-edged sword in the sense that, like, somebody like your old roommate could use that and be like, okay, I'll just talk about Arma.
I'll just talk
You know,
about Arma.
I'll talk to the girls about Arma and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then, you know, eventually they're gonna find a girl who likes Arma.
Right. Which
You
is
know,
good.
just inevitably, somewhere, somehow.
It's Arma 2, by the way.
It works across the board, right? But the problem is, if you're too niche, like there's also a balance of like, let me start with something that I know
Yes.
that we can talk about, unless like you're wearing something or like a song comes on or some shit and they notice and you're like, okay, we're already like at S tier versus like I gotta start down here, you know.
I think part of it is not. I think part of it is being comfortable being uncomfortable. Like being comfortable with the fact that like you haven't done this before and it's okay to fail at things. And I think I'm really comfortable with stuff like that. And I think that's why I don't want to say it's easy for me to talk to people because it's not. But I think that's why I've gotten better at it. I think what also helped me a lot, at least as like a person, and dude, I would have had a straight. Are you fucking me? Come on, man. I think what makes it easier for me is to like not take it too seriously. Like I'm gonna have fun with my friends. If that involves talking to people who like I want to pursue romantically, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, like I don't
even like friends.
Yeah, that's
like if people see my group and want to hang out with us because they are like-minded, then yes. But then it reminds me of the shit, and I feel like this is what you're gonna talk about. But where I've known so many people that's their only goal when they're out.
Is to make friends.
They're not focused on having fun and just enjoying it. They're focused on, I need to up my score. I need to come back with something. Yeah. And it always ends so poorly.
I'm not gonna lie, there are people like that, and I think I don't want to say that I haven't had that mindset before because I actually have. I think what a big game changer for me was in college is that I realized that realistically, I should go out and make friends first, right? Like,
yeah.
And I should become friends with these people first because that is like they're human.
Yeah.
That's like the end of it. I think if you want to like pursue them romantically or try to do that afterwards, that's cool. But you should be friends first because that's so much more valuable than being like, I have a list of people on my Snapchat that I never ever interact with because I met them at a party once and they didn't talk to me the day after.
And they don't even slide up on my story to talk about something I like that they see. It's like they don't even. They're just in space.
Like Funny Burger, and if it's not Funny Burger, either the burger's getting burnt, and it's setting off the fire alarm, or there are no burgers. And either way, that's a bad situation.
But when you know there's burgers out there,
right,
it's frustrating because you're like, oh well, I could have burgers too. Because like, for me, my friends in Canada, I would have never have met them if it weren't for my roommate.
Yeah.
But they're our type of people. They find the shit that we find funny. They're enjoyable to talk to. They're never creepy. They never go too far.
Right.
You know. But it feels like sometimes here, because we have so many options, that it's like strange because it's like, okay, how did I get so lucky? Well, in like a situation that's a lot harder to find something like that versus like when I go out looking for people that are like us, I feel like it's harder.
I think we have
but I mean,
I think part of it is
we have a pretty wide net.
Yeah,
I would think right? I mean,
I think part of that is because we had a very large net in high school, and I explained that to people, and people are weirded out by it almost.
Like people did not have that in high school.
That's what was weird.
Yeah.
And I think people, I don't know, like, I've definitely befriended a lot of people at my internship because they all worked. You know, I'm gonna see them. They're all cool. I mean, there's some I'm not. It's not that I'm not cool with them, but like, I don't think I'd hang out with them like that. But you know, that's fine. Like, there's definitely a line between being coworkers and being friends.
And it's the same type of thing where, like, if you see them and you're super plastered, you'd still say hi to them. Obviously,
that's the thing, right?
You know, like that's like the key. It's like it's always about acknowledging that you guys came from the same experience and being like, yo, like, even if we're not going band for band tonight, like,
like at least
you're still one of my day ones in a way.
I hope they have a good time. You know what I mean? That's what it's about. Is there any other I feel like that was I hope that was a good conversation. I feel like it was. I don't know. He had me thinking about it because he asked me that at the front desk, and I explained to him that I feel like it's because people don't know who they are. They don't think they're confident as a guy, and they think that they have to like have an 8-pack and be ripped to have any sort of confidence. And
Right, because there's so many media, there's so much targeted media now that is trying to make people think that it's not like as simple as being yourself. It's that you have to cultivate something that's mainstream. Like you have to become part of something that people are looking for versus like, would you not rather have someone that's niche like you and be that much closer than like both be normies
I also think part of the
and not be comfortable?
That's true. I also think part of the issue is the gym. And I feel like it's the way people present the gym. Because
It can be very positive, but I think some people think of it in a very toxic way.
I think the way social media portrays the gym isn't always the best because they kind of see it as like if you're not in the gym right now, you're trying to get what's going on. Which I think is a bad way. I think people should go to the gym to better themselves. And I think it's mostly fine if you go to the gym and work your ass off and say, hey, look how much harder I got. Yeah, sure. If that's like how you feel, and that's great. And I think that that's a good thing. But I also think there's a lot of stuff online where it's like, for people our age, where it's kind of a hobby that I think overshadows a lot of other ones. And so people might not find other hobbies they enjoy. Which is, I mean, you know, kind of normal when you have any, like, big thing that recommends content out to people. But, I don't know, I kind of just wish it was normal to just go to the gym to just be healthy. And I feel like for people our age, it's not about, like, you know how older people talk about it? And they're like, oh, I did a swim class, it's great for my mobility, I go twice a week.
Yeah, they like understand the actual like,
and it's just so they keep their range of motion or something. I kind of wish it was more like that, I guess.
But that's the difference between like working out and like bodybuilding. Is like
that's true. That's
there's the visual aspect versus like maybe like a mental goal. Like this is the problem though. I think for some people it becomes like I want to give this to other people, what I get out of this, right? And then I think,
which is good,
you could easily be like, oh, this is something everyone can do. Like everyone should do this, you know? But everyone can goon. Everyone can play League. You know, like there's, like for some people,
you heard it here first.
For some people, going to the gym can be life-changing.
Yes.
And for others, it's like they get enough, like our chum from the Dirty See goes for runs all the time. Runs more than most of us.
I don't think I've ever seen him
puts in more of that. Right. And whether or not he does go, he doesn't. It's not part of his. You know, he's not outwardly projecting about that. If he wanted to go, he would go.
That's true.
And he's gone. He's probably gone. But it's like, and
but he gets
it's not to say that some people. Right. It's not to say that some people, like people who do post gym content or enjoy talking about going to the gym and stuff like that, that's not a bad thing at all. I think the point is everyone can get what they need out of like fitness and taking care of themselves in different ways. And just because you're not at the gym doesn't mean you're not like health conscious or like even like remotely thinking about your lifestyle. Because I think that's the thing about the media that makes it tough is it's like, oh, like because I go to the gym, I'm health conscious. Versus like, I think in some ways there's definitely people we know that like juice or do shit like that where it's like, okay, you've gotten to a point where that's not what you're thinking about anymore. Right. You know, like there's certain things where it becomes
got, like, corrupted.
A whole different like beast, you know, and it's not it's not about preaching about health and like wanting your friends to do better and like, you know, feel better about themselves and stuff. So in some ways, there's definitely people, and there's people that we don't know that people just see online that it's like they're probably leading some people down the wrong path because they see gym and they don't think that's how I take care of myself. They say that's how I'm going to look like this guy.
That's true.
And that might not even be possible for some people. So it's like, do you really like,
Yeah.
like it's probably doing more good than harm because there's a lot of people that are just not even going to try it. But it's like, I think in my experience, it's like people who have a sport or people that like go outside, like people that I know who skate and stuff, all in great shape. Great shape. And it's not like they don't abuse drugs or they don't chain smoke cigarettes and stuff, but like that's the thing about, like, they don't think about that as like I'm getting my workout in by doing 10 miles of skateboarding. It's like I'm just going to go chill and skateboard and practice this trick and get good at this trick. And it's like they're subconsciously tending to that in the same way that someone would like grinding some treadmill or trying to get a new PR. It's like,
yeah,
I definitely am not an expert about like I need to work on certain things, but I think some people, they don't even think about it like that. They're just like, I'm going to go do this thing. And it like subconsciously
right. Which
is helping. Like some people definitely don't think about swimming as a fitness thing.
That's true.
You know, they don't understand the benefits of how that affects their body, and they're still doing it. And it's like, what does that mean? You know, like people that, why do they have it at the gym?
Right.
Think about that for instance. Like some people don't, they're just like, oh, swimming's, I'm going to go do a cannonball. Like they don't, there's no, but I mean, that's how most people be talking about skateboarding though too. They're like, they don't understand that there's something you get out of it, even just by being outside.
It's good to get outside, guys. Go touch grass if you haven't.
No, it is. It really is. It's like the thing we were talking about before though, where it's like, just go out there and like do something.
Yeah, that's true. Well
like be alive.
Well, that's the whole.
Don't just sit
like,
in the dark.
It's so, you know how annoying and frustrating it is to meet someone who doesn't do anything. Like it's actually.
Because then if you're not doing the thing they're doing, what do you talk about?
Well, it's not even that, dude. It's like, have you ever met someone like they don't do anything? It's the Joey Diaz quote, where, and I have ran into people where it's like they don't do, like they're a bum, they don't do anything, and it's like, dude. And it's weird because it's at school, so I guess you can say they go to school, but it's like, it's like, man, like, you feel bad.
If that's the bar.
Right, like that's the bar.
Then yes.
I don't know, man. It kind of drives me a little crazy. Do you think you would do you think Northeastern is gonna buy us out?
Man, I mean,
I think that's gonna happen. Not like the podcast.
I think that it's kind of like how people talk about the government spending shit. It's like none of this value is tangible. So like how do you even know that it's impending until they tell you? And we thought that it was going to happen before. So it could happen at any moment.
Any moment.
But I hope it happens after you guys get out.
I hope it does too. I mean,
because there's so many things that, like, implications.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you... There's really no way to quantify that. But that's kind of like the thing we were talking about the other day, where it's like, how do you talk about colleges and funding and that level of it without getting political?
Well, that's the.
It's like almost impossible.
That's the inherent base of anything is like anything is political.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can.
There is like a stimuli that starts that.
It's like a homunculus. You know, like I'm sure in the lab, like where I came from, there's a homunculus that looks like me that just, you know, like first step, right? Same kind of thing. Do you think? I guess this kind of goes into it. Do you think you'd want a homunculus? Like if you could have one as a pet?
Is there like a benchmark homunculus like archetype, or is it just like anything goes?
I think it's like a create your own anything goes kind of deal.
Mm.
What would your ideal homunculus be like though?
I mean, having a cat
Is kind of like that.
has worked wonders. So I would think being able to like talk to something like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird though, because like, what if it like revolts against you or something?
This is
Like, what if it becomes your worst nightmare?
Well, that's the thing is, it's like you can pick it out, dude. Like,
but like,
does
does it even like does it mean that you live with the homunculus, or does it like come over?
No, like
like does it commute?
I feel like it's up to you. I'd want to live with mine because I'm not gonna lie, dude. If I had like a little gnome or something I lived with, and he's like, oh, I hope you don't mind. I smoked some of your weed and played FTL. I was like, oh, homunculus, little guy, and I like get home from work.
Chip off the old block.
Right. But there are gonna be some times where I get home from work and I'm like crashing out, and he's like, and I'm like, homunculus, you didn't make dinner, and he's like, well, yeah, you didn't put a ring on it, and I like scream at him.
Gonna put Dior on this dick.
Yeah. But like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Or it'll be like, hey, like, can you leave? I'm trying to jerk off. He's like, no, like it's my house too. You know what I mean? Or I guess I can do that in the shower. It's not really.
Yeah, it's like not as simple as having a kid.
I feel like I think.
Because I feel like when you have a kid, you're like, oh, I guess the gooning is over.
I think ideally my homunculus would be a gnome. I think I just want a gnome to live with, like as a roommate. And he gets like a little bookshelf for his shit. So he has like his setup. You know. I think I'd enjoy that. Is that weird?
No, I think that's normal.
I feel like it.
It's totally normal.
The whole thing is it's basically like a pet plus. It's just an upgraded pet to an extent because you still take care of them. Like I don't expect the gnome to go get a job or something. But ideally, like, they're not gonna shit on the floor. Like, you see what I'm saying here? Like,
yeah.
They're not gonna.
But like in the other direction, like the other side of that spectrum is like those motherfuckers with like Tamagotchis, or they get a little too attached to their programming duck or something.
No, that's what I mean.
Becomes like anthropomorphic, you know.
Programming duck. I have another one.
Yep.
Positive duck. No, but
Or one of my teachers gave those out at the beginning of the semester.
The positive duck?
We each got 2 of them. Yeah, and the one, like, they had a shiesty one.
No way.
So I had to cop that thing.
Good morning, shiesty. I need to get my shiesty for
Good morning, shiesty duck.
No, but the whole thing with the homunculus, though, I think it definitely can go another way, because I don't know. I think in an ideal world, I'd want their like food and stuff to cost less too. You know, so it's like I can give them $1, or maybe it's a bad example, but like I give them $10 for the week and they're good. Like that's their like allowance. I feel like I'm just describing a kid, but the whole idea is that like they're like my roommate and we're like chill. Is that weird?
Right.
I feel like I'm just describing a kid at this point. But I don't want to raise them. That's the whole thing. Like
yeah, and they're not like your partner.
No. Like they're just like it's kind of like it's basically like having a pet, but like they're just sentient and can read and stuff. Like
it's like if you had a roommate that like was not real.
Yeah, like if I was like schizophrenic or something.
Right.
And
I mean, I think that's like the closest thing.
I think it is too. I think there's also a lot of logistical issues because, like, who's to say the homunculus is trying to help you out and accidentally kills himself in like the thing that eats all the food and or like locks themselves in your fridge, and you get home and they're.
Well, that's what I mean. Is like
you need a homunculus-proof your house.
Is it gonna bring you How much? I feel like there's like a ceiling for how much good can come from it
The ROI
versus like they
from like the
like is it like an alien? Like do they know
I think it would
how
know,
to act?
I think it'd know how to act to an extent, you know.
You know?
I think part of it would just be that I think, but the other thing is like you can piss it off and you get home and it has a bunch of its like homunculus friends over, and you're like, dude, like I didn't say this was okay, and it's like, fuck you, I live here too. So then you gotta figure that out, you know. What's that about?
It could be a good show.
Could be a good show. Should write that one. I think. Well, the other thing too with living, dude, the title is my roommate's a homunculus. My roommate's a homunculus. It opens to them screaming at each other, and the homunculus throws something. And it's like, you think these are Marlboro Reds. I wanted blacks, and then it climbs up its like bookshelf and starts to play Rust.
I think there's like a fine line though, because in the back of my mind, I keep thinking of like, what's that like terrible fucking alien movie? Paul? Is that what it's called?
Paul, dude, I don't know.
And then there's obviously Ted.
There's, I think it'd be like Ted. I think that's the closest thing we can get to it, where it's like, ideally they might get a job eventually. Am I just describing Ted but using the word homunculus? I don't think so.
You got to look up Paul because this.
Word.
We
Let me get my.
we were really high one time.
Yeah.
Me and the Slimes. And so I'll give you the gist without ruining it, okay? He's an alien, and these guys
Oh, no.
take him
What
with
is
them
this?
to go on like a road trip thing. That's the problem. He looks like that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny,
For the first 10 minutes.
but we were so high that like the guy with the remote was like, when do they fuck the alien?
Okay.
And he just starts like scrubbing through the movie, and I'm like, okay.
Okay.
So I'm just not gonna watch it. And then like we watched the end, and I'm like,
Did they fuck
okay.
the alien?
I think it was implied that like the alien fucked someone or something. I don't even know.
So the thing is
I mean, that's just like an alien trope.
I wouldn't want to
you
have
know?
sex with my homunculus, right?
I think that's like the big difference between that and Ted, right? Or does does what happened?
Well, the thing with Ted is I think Ted fucks. It's just that he doesn't have
Right.
sex with the people who like own him because they're boys,
Yeah,
you know.
but
Or-
like Ted is like the good end because he's like chaotic sometimes, but he
Yeah.
does his own thing.
That
Versus
was,
like this alien one.
Ted is the ideal homunculus.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you.
But there's also no like plot point where it's like, oh, you have to save him. You have to bring him back to his homeland.
That's
Or is that?
well the.
I don't
thing
know.
is the
I don't even
homunculus,
fucking remember.
It'd be like made in a lab, you know. So I think that I'm not gonna lie, dude. I think if I ever found an alien and want me to bring me back to his homeland, if I don't get like a big reward after, I'm killing something. You know, and I'm probably getting killed, but like.
The homunculus crash out, season 7.
No, just like if the stupid chud Paul alien is like, I need to, you know, do this. I need to do this. I need to do that. Can you bring me home? I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, dude, he's not paying for gas. He's not gonna like. That's the thing with all these movies, dude. Is like, dude, you know how fast like you're gonna get into a facility that has like a spaceship or anything to steal it? Like, dude, I don't care if Paul is like the most powerful alien ever. Like, that's not gonna stop them from like arresting your family. You know?
Right.
Or like.
Well, I feel like that's part of the trope that they always do. Is it's like, why are you gonna ruin my life? Like I'm trying to help you, but like, I'm fucked.
Dude, no,
you
that's
know,
actually
if
so
I
true
help you,
because
you know.
If I have a homunculus and it acts like Ted, dude, they're gonna try to get that thing to get something. They're gonna either try to take it and say it's property and compensate me for it, or they're gonna try to what's the word? Oh, like deport it because he doesn't have like a, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And then I have to.
He's going
explain-
to-
right, and then I have to explain, hey, like I technically created the homunculus on U.S. soil
Right.
or something. I don't even
You
know,
didn't?
dude.
Did you
But-
see who plays the alien?
No.
Who voices the alien?
No, is it?
I think that's the worst
is
part.
it Paul Rudd?
No.
I can look. For all you
Yeah, you're gonna have to
for
look.
the audio listeners, who voices it's
Because I forgot, and I looked again. I was like, oh, well, that.
yeah, of course it's
Also-
yeah, of course it's Seth Rogen, dude. Fuck. Fucking Seth.
Like, part of me thinks the people who made it were like, oh,
I'm
this
not
would be
gonna lie,
funny
dude.
if it's annoying.
The thing with Seth Rogen's voice, and he probably hears it all the time, is that I think what it does is it has this sort of weird like trigger effect where it's like a plus negative, where it's like if it's a bad movie, his voice is going to be annoying, and if it's a good movie, his voice is not going to be an issue.
Yeah. Is he in what's the one where like the world is ending? He's got to be in that.
Yeah, he is in that. 21.
I feel like that works.
Yeah, he's great.
He works in that.
Yeah, but that's because he's playing himself, dude.
that's
He's him.
that's like part of the problem with
No,
like him
I think that movie.
and some other people. It's like he has to be him
I think that movie.
because I'm not gonna take him seriously.
Well, I like him in Pineapple Express. I'm not gonna lie, if he went into more serious stuff, I'd be so down. I'm not joking. But I think it got to a point where like, and the thing is you know, we're never gonna be like big stars like that, like any of us. I really don't think so. And I think it gets to a point when you are a big star like that, it gets to a point where you're sitting on your couch and you probably hit a plateau where you're like, yeah, like I've been wanting to try to do more serious stuff, but they keep typecasting me. And honestly, like, fuck it. Like, I want a paycheck. Yeah, like,
Right.
I'll be Paul.
Yeah.
Because the thing is
Dude.
like, dude, you know what? How much money?
I'll be Paul.
How much money did you make off Paul? Hang on.
I don't even want to know.
Dude.
This is a whole can of worms that we have to get into.
No,
Because I was just talking to people about this.
we're gonna get into it.
I was talking about how it's fucked up, the Justin Bieber stuff. Do you know, have you somewhat kept up with this in some capacity? I can give you the short version.
You should. Can you give me this?
Basically, he was close with Diddy
Oh.
when he was a child. So people are like concerned about what he went through because of all this Diddy stuff. But it seemed like they were like pals back then. But he was also like a kid, and his parents like sold him off to Hollywood, essentially.
That's odd.
Like sent him away to do that stuff because that's what it seemed like he wanted to do or whatever. But they weren't really there when all that was happening. I don't think so. He obviously is like all spacey, and you know he's definitely got some baggage. So people are worried about that.
Wait, Bieber or
And-
Rogen? It's Bieber, right?
This is Bieber, yeah. So the thing about that relates to this is that people are like, oh well, he didn't really have a choice because he was like a kid, like he didn't know. Like he has a lot of fame now, and like it's nice that you know he's got a good life now and he's gotten away from all that, but it sucks that it was like at the expense of his like his childhood and his like I don't even know what the word is, but the point is there's people and I don't think this is funny in any way possible, but I think this is a good conversation because there's people that are in Hollywood that knew either because they were older or you know whatever, they had a choice. They knew that like Dan Schneider wanted to see their feet or that like there was money on the line, but they were going to be that guy for the rest of their life.
Right.
And they said yes because they had to, or they were like, this is what I chose to do, so I got to do something, you know. And it still also sucks because I'm like, those people, they weren't like, oh, I'm gonna be Paul, I'll be Paul, whatever. They were like, I have to be Paul.
So
Like this is it for me, I have to be Paul.
So-
Which like in terms of music guys, it's like they have to keep coming up with shit and like be with people, but like TV shows and movies and shit, it's like I don't know, those guys, like that's why I'm like not shocked by the shit that came out about that 70s show and shit, because I'm like, dude, these people
that was
are like expendable
that made
to producers and shit.
yeah So just to kind of wrap up the case.
Yeah.
Paul, dude, 500K to a million is the ballpark. That's like the closest.
That's probably not even that much though when it comes to stuff like that.
Okay, but the thing is.
But that's a lot of fucking money.
Okay, but that's the thing. That's like a house and a car you paid.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing too is if you put that, dude, if you put that into the market at the right time, like.
Oh yeah.
But here's the thing: is for that amount, I can't say I wouldn't be Paul. As much as I've been dogging him, and as much as Hollywood seems to dog people who have to be Paul. Can't say I wouldn't take it.
Yep. Versus like, I mean, the problem with people like Bieber and even like that 70s show characters, like once you're that and that's what you're known for and the show keeps going or your music blows up, it's like, sure, you can do a serious role in something else, but like,
yeah, you get to
that's pretty much your full-time job is just playing that
being Jim
part of your life that, yeah, like you may grow out of that. And that's the thing with Jim from The Office that's funny too, is like, or what's the, with Dwight, whenever he's doing like interviews, is people will like refer to him as Dwight.
Yeah.
And he hates that. And that's the same thing with guys from like Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Like they don't like to be called their character, but their fans are so obsessed with them being like a real thing and seeing them in real life that they get dehumanized and it becomes like this other thing. But
it's odd. And I think
when we're back.
I think part of it too is like you succeed like that, and if you don't reinvent yourself, it's like over. Because the thing is, and I think what happens is people get too cocky. Because like, the dude who plays Eric in that 70s show, he's in some other stuff, but like, oh dude, the Snandle spilling wax everywhere. Oh fuck.
Shout out Snandle.
Shout out Snandle, dude. Fuck.
So you want to take like a quick break?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I'm just gonna try to like patch it. This is like, for those of you who don't know what Snandle is, it's a snail-shaped candle that I own and purchased with my own money, my free will. It's actually cool, and I'd show you, but I'd get wax all over me, and that's not the funnest. I think I'm just gonna drill a hole. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. My candles are always so messed up.
Oh yeah, Abby. All mine look like
They look gross.
like ridiculous.
I'm gonna try to.
Just like matches buried in the wax and shit.
I start to do that when there's like no redeeming it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We patched. Wow, this dried really quick. We matched it. We not matched it. We locked it up, I think. Oop, let me call. I'm just gonna try to patch this more. There we go. Okay, we should be good. Sorry about the interruption.
Snandle.
The Snandle beckons. Will you pick up the phone? Do you, but that's the thing is like, that guy isn't in a lot of stuff because he was like a dick and crashed out. Like
right.
Eric Foreman. So that's why he's known as Eric
Yeah.
Foreman. Where if you're good, like, because here's the thing, if J.K. Simmons was bad, he'd be known as like the guy who is Spider-Man. Like he'd be like known as J. Jonah Jameson, or the guy from Whiplash, or
yep.
the numerous things that he's in, or like Omni-Man. where he's like a he's a good person, a good actor, so he like
Mm-hmm.
reinvents himself, which I think you have to
Yep.
do. But
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know. It's really weird, dude. That's why I'd never want to be an actor. Like
That's kind of how
I
I
think
started to feel about the J.K. Rowling and like people like Kanye type shit, where I'm like, you were people's hero,
yes.
and now
Like what?
like
Who are you?
you're like a fly in my room.
That's the thing.
Like, I hate that you're still here, like doing what you're doing,
Yeah.
because I wish that you just ended it while it was still good
It's not even that.
and just like took your
It
money
is-
and fucked off.
Here's the thing, though, is you could argue that a lot of their legacy will ultimately be better if they have died.
And that's not even what I mean. Like they died, but like they just
No, I'm saying if
stopped making stuff. You know.
like if they.
No, I know what you mean, like the posthumous
Mhm.
thing too, where it's like they low key would be remembered in good faith if they genuinely just didn't have a choice and it just was like that was their legacy and it's over. You know, like the MF Doom stuff. Like MF Doom will always be a legend and everybody will love that shit. Like,
Yes.
you know, like if it's bro, it's too many tangents, but like the MLK shit where they were like trying to shit on him in the documents and like people are saying it's not real. I'm like, you could tell me tomorrow that MF Doom was a horrible person and I would not believe you. He's not here to defend that. There's not enough evidence to show it. It's like the Kanye thing, like he put himself in this position.
Yeah.
He's doubling down on that shit.
Well, the other thing with Doom too is, at least, I don't know the exact details, but Doom basically died because of like negligence. You know, like he was in a hospital and wasn't treated right. That's why he's dead.
Yep.
You know, whether if he received the right treatment or not, if he would have lived, I don't know. Like I can't say for sure. I don't know. I don't see into the future, but we can assume that he
Yep.
probably would be. And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of the same thing where like it gets to a point where it's just like, how is this even, like, what timeline are we in? Like, how is this real? Like, especially with the song Kanye just dropped, dude. Like what is that? Do you?
Yeah. I mean,
And
part of me,
I haven't heard anything like I've just seen the meme, so I don't know.
right. I haven't like sat down and
Right.
indulged
But
in
the thing
it.
is like, why would you?
Exact. I don't want to give him the streams anymore.
Yeah.
I can't even
Like it's just.
like justify listening to it to make fun of him.
Yeah. He just,
Like I get more than enough that I would ever want just by being on reels
Yeah.
and shorts,
Yeah.
you know. But
I do.
it's beyond being disappointed. I know people that still really like him
I also do.
and back him, and that's like a huge red flag to me in the sense that like
I
it's not
remember-
about the music.
I remember when it was last summer when I worked. You remember the IT job I worked before the last one at that wholesaler place? That was
Yes.
really interesting. They the intern I worked with was like a Kanye stan. So I remember one day we would bump music because you have to remember, like, this place looked like a Costco warehouse, right? So our desks are like folding tables, and we're fixing laptops all day. But we're not allowed to wear headphones because we're in like the warehouse, and it's a safety thing because they'd come flying around with the forklift. So we'd play music on a speaker. My boss and the other, like, her assistant, I don't want to say her assistant, but like the person who had tenure for both of us and my boss were out on lunch because they'd take their lunch together because they chain smoke, whatever. He's like, yo, Kanye dropped, I'ma play it. I don't know what song it was, and he's like, that was so ass. And I was like, why the fuck do you still listen to him? And he's like, nah, like, I'll listen to it like 10 more times and then it'll be good. I'm like, what is wrong with you, bro? Like, and that was before he like started to do all that stuff, obviously, but it's still like,
It's not even a song to them.
no.
But that's how the Playboy Cardi drop was like too, though. People were like, "Oh, he's finally gonna drop. It's gonna be amazing." And there's some good songs on there. Like, I understand it's not everyone's cup of tea. There's some good songs on there, but like, people made it seem like it was the best album of all time, and that shit like boils my blood. And maybe it's just because I'm a Kendrick diehard. I'm never gonna say that Kendrick's albums are the best albums of all time. I would never say that because I know it's not true. But it's like, and I'm able to say if I don't like one of his releases. But he's like not. Even when he was doing the shit with Drake, it was like a publicity stunt. It was not, hey, I'm gonna make a song about portraying me as a KKK member, you know, and I'm gonna crash out about my kids and my wife. Like, his career was destined for failure before we even like really knew, like we were old enough to really understand what his life was. Like, Kim's whole family was televised constantly, and he like, it was just a circus, you know, like his shit was just always on display.
Dude, I still want to know, like, what effect do you think that has on you mentally? Because
no, he's definitely suffering mentally because of a lot of that too.
I mean him, I mean all of them. Like,
but it's just like you are just under surveillance. Like, I can't even imagine.
It must be a thing where once they say cut every day, you're like, finally, holy fuck, and you end up just hating the film crew.
Right. Like, well, that was the thing where they crashed out on the camera guy in the garage thing that like blew up. It's like,
oh yeah, he's like,
at that point you got to understand that and be like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I get that.
100%.
It doesn't make what he's doing good. It doesn't like.
But the thing is
I'm always gonna regret that he did all that because I did like his older music. Yeah. Like, we can say that confidently, but I can also say that like,
but
that was part of the downfall. Was like when they like were that popular that they're being followed around with cameras constantly. Like, that's how you know it's like, I don't know. You can't be an angel. Like, eventually they'll catch you doing something.
The thing is that's like the social contract that goes into this thing, right? Like, even now, like, if I blow up, to an extent, I can't expect like my privacy to be a thing. Like, that becomes something I will have to pay for somehow, because that's part of the game of, I want to have a online following, or I want to be famous, or is you need to be ready for when like the other shoe drops. And obviously paparazzi take it way too far. Like, that's, like, we know that. But it also, I think, gets to themselves where some of these people might end up hating themselves, because they're like, I wish I could just go down the street. Like, that's why you have people who are kind of smart about it, like Kiss and stuff, right? Because like they like had makeup on, so they could just walk down the street and like go buy like a bacon, egg, and cheese, and no one's gonna treat them any differently. You know, they're gonna say, go fuck yourself if you cut them in line, because that's what it is.
That's like these fucking YouTuber guys though, like the whole dream thing. Like, let's pretend like he didn't know that all this other shit was gonna happen after his face reveal, whatever. Like, I don't know the timeline of that.
Yeah, I'm not.
But don't you think you would have been more popular if you just stayed in anonymity? Like, there's a balance.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I really am debating, or I have debated before, just making content without my face. Because for my job security, it'd be way easier. You know, because that's
yeah,
just a
but
guy who sounds like me.
I think there's a good amount of people, especially in like this kind of field, with like streamers and stuff, where they're like slurping on their kelp shake and like using their rose toy and like sending you money on your stream, like gifting you subs and shit, where like they would rather feel more intimate and connected with you.
Yeah.
And like that's what they're watching it for. That's something I'll never understand though, is like the whole like, I'm gonna watch someone stream their whole day and explain to me how to clean my room.
I'm not gonna lie.
But I'm just gonna sit here in a pile of shit and be like,
I'm not gonna lie. I've never understood watching
Like,
which
what is a
why
get ready with me? What is a vlog? A day long vlog? Like, I don't give a fuck what David Dobrik is doing. Like, nobody cares. Like, why don't you just do your life, do your thing? You spent an hour of your day watching something that is so like
slop.
intangible.
That's slop. Unlike the Womp
It's
Cult
extreme
podcast.
slop. It's extreme slop.
Yeah. No,
Because like you're not gonna have that, and if you do, if there's any chance of you having that, it's not gonna be cultivated by you sitting and watching someone else do it.
Yeah, I think that's why sometimes I struggle to make content is because ideally everything I make is something I would enjoy or I'd watch, right? Because I really don't want to waste people's time, and I think it's weird being an entertainer in that sort of sense, because to an extent, it's never going to be enough. And I think eventually, like, if this does take off, which I don't think it will, and I become big, what's gonna happen is I will probably have to choose if I want to do things like that, or if I want to stick to what I've been doing, right? And one obviously had more money than the other one. And I don't want to say that those people have sold out. I mean, I guess I can, because, like, dude, what are they gonna do? I'm like
if their job is to entertain,
right, and they entertain,
and they have to be Paul, then they need to invest. It's an investment.
It is an investment.
Which is where it's like people like fucking Mr. Beast ruin that view though, because they're like, oh, I just have money to throw around, and it goes always back into the content, and I've always had like time to have the foresight to think about what my image is and everything, and I'm like the good guy. Versus like these people that we watched when we grew up that got canceled for saying a slur and shit, and it's like there's like they lost their livelihood, and these guys who are making children's content are running circles around them, and they're smacking themselves in the head.
But the thing with the children's content though is I think it's the same thing with the Kardashians is I can't really ever get the image out of my head, or you wouldn't be able to convince me that after the camera's cut or something and Mr. Beast is being filmed, or you know who I was thinking about this the other day is, do you know that like children's like LARPing like role player Fortnite YouTuber? I don't know his name, but he does these like massive like live stream LARPs. Like or I guess it's not LARP because it's not, but it's like a role play. And I remember I was going down the garage where I park. I was going down the escalator to work, and I remember thinking, I bet you as soon as that fucking camera turns off, that guy fucking takes a shot and like starts chain smoking. Because I don't know how.
I feel like you have to.
With that. No, that's
you must.
Is there some way that there's something that they're doing where? Hang on, let me. Fortnite roleplay YouTuber.
I always liked people where you could like tell. You knew that they were like gonna go out to the bar after,
right?
And like decompress. You didn't feel like they were putting on a face.
That's why I like the
and
Misfits,
shit.
Because the Misfits, it was such a good, like, I don't know, they had a good dynamic, and I think there's controversy there, and they haven't uploaded in forever, but like, they talked about doing weed, they talked about doing psychedelics, they talked about the stuff on, like, in videos, and what you can see is that they're a group of people who have fun, and it's not fake, which is why, like, I used to watch this content from, what was it? I don't know, it was from it was a majority group like that. I'm blanking on the name, to be honest with you. But I remember I talked to my coworker, and he was like, you know what's crazy? I don't watch them a lot either, because it seems like they're faking it, and it's weird. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the issue with, like, I don't know, I think content houses are weird to begin with, because, like, everyone is always, it's the same thing where it's like the camera's always on. So...
Right.
And that's gonna piss.
Part of me is confused by it because it's like, okay, as long as the one guy does well, this lifestyle can be upheld.
Yes.
And if my content falls off, I'm still part of the house. I'm still in the videos. There's a job security to that.
Yep.
But then there's also like this part of me that's like, There's guys who like post compilations of Dance Moms clips and make more.
Oh yeah, I mean,
You know, so like why live with Bryce Hall?
that's yeah.
Why why have parties with minors in LA?
Why be Phantom?
When it literally when and dude, that shit. I would say that shit's heartbreaking. He was on a downturn for a long time, and there is a shelf life for content like that, but he's not Goblin. You know?
Who, Phantom?
Yeah.
What does he do? All I know is that he's like a Kaisenat person. I don't know anything else about them. And that he will like take Kaisenat's food.
I don't even know if we're talking about the same person. Hold up. Oh, like the Phantom Tax guy.
Yes.
That's not what I was talking about, but
You talking about?
I have no idea what he does. He just kind of like is there. He's like a character now though.
No, that's what I mean.
And enough kids watch that shit that like he's like Blippy.
But that's
He's like fucking like you can just get by,
No,
you know?
but that's the thing with Goblin. That's why I like Goblin is because it's the same thing with like why I like the Misfits. Like they keep it. I like to think to an extent they keep it as real as you can get it. Like you know that they're not always happy. You know that they're not always like over the moon about recording stuff, but you know they talk about their sort of, and I kind of want to do some of that. I don't know. I think it's part of my issue is I think I'm always so nervous about how this what I do in my free time as an American citizen and within perfectly my rights as one. Like I'm not breaking any laws, nor have I. You know, like how this is gonna basically be used against me in my career.
Yeah, but it's the leap of faith into that field is not even as big anymore because I feel like it's like the Wild West.
It is the Wild West.
Like you could get away with starting something and it fizzling out.
Yeah.
And unless you really fuck up, people aren't going to dig for it.
That's a good point.
And there's really nothing to find either. Like unless you're really like divulging crazy shit on this stuff. But like the person I meant to say was Fulcrum.
Fulcrum.
I thought we were talking about Fulcrum because he fell off and he's working to minimum wage jobs again, if that's even true. It might even be his content, but I think he fell off. But it's like,
but that's the thing is,
that's the problem. You got to be genuine and have something that people want to watch.
Well, the other thing with him too is he's very different than Goblin because he's like a prankster, sort of to speak. Like
yeah, he became popular in the same way that like Boon Gang did.
The thing,
not like the way that Goblin like built his empire on like he started out with his own thing, doing his own thing, and people like that content.
And I think the thing with Goblin is I like Goblin's content because it makes me think of like some time I've had with my friends that we've had with our friends that were like that, you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, Goblin has done things that we haven't, and I think that's like pretty obvious. But
he's probably keeping people safe, honestly.
Well, that's the other thing.
He's probably saved people's lives.
Safe, and I think part of it is it's like you get to see to an extent like what I'm trying to phrase this. You kind of get to see to an extent where like if you keep doing what you're doing, if you're going down that path, what happens? Right? Like Goblin has a DUI.
Yeah. Because he'll tell you about people he was with too.
Yes, and Goblin has a DUI. He talked openly about how it's like I recently watched a video of his and he was talking about like addiction and he was talking about how, you know, and it's a really nuanced take, you know, and I think that's what
it's an informed take though.
It's 100% because here's the thing: who's going to be more informed?
You can trust his information because he knows more than anyone else.
Right. Dude, the Snandle's leaking now from the other side. I'm not even... I wish I could make this up, dude. I patched a hole in one side. What the hell, man?
You have to fix it?
This is bullshit. It's so... Nah, it's... Honestly, it can just go on my desk. It's wax. I'll just scrape it off. But that's the thing is like ideally I did like because we have some stories where you know I could make a video or two about them. You know what I mean? We definitely
there's lessons in them though.
there's 100%.
There's things that we learn from it, and
Right.
people would benefit from knowing things. It's not like it's gonna like ruin people's career if you don't talk about them directly, and people know that this shit happens, so they can't really be like, "Why would you say that?"
No,
You know, like
it's dripping.
it's the reality of it. You know.
This stuff is everywhere. No, but that's the thing, and I think people get a kick out of it. Like, I want people to get a kick out of, you know, the sort of the stories I tell. I want it to be fun. I want it to be informative. Because that's what it's about. It's about fun. Like, it's about being entertained.
Right, and the other thing is like, as unks,
As unks.
a lot of that shit is behind us,
Well,
and the shit
yeah, I was
that
gonna
like
say, that,
informs now is like we do that shit in a better way now, in a safer way, a smarter way. There's things that you learn from that.
like, there's no kratom, you know?
Dude, every time I see that shit on the other side of a counter, behind someone at a register, I'm just like, I can't believe
That's
that we even tried that.
No, I know. That was insane.
And my mom found it, and she was like, "Are you selling this shit?"
You keep your locked in?
Because we had so much of it.
Yeah,
We had
no.
like so much of it.
Yeah, because we did like the bulk buy, which somehow I still don't know if that.
We didn't get our credit card stolen somehow. It actually showed up. It was destiny. The fact that we actually,
No.
the night that we tried it, I think that was like, that was supposed to happen. The night in the garage may or may not.
The night in the garage.
Maybe that wasn't destiny, but that was definitely important.
The night in the garage, which I'm blanking on, which isn't good.
At the old skate spot, the abandoned
Oh.
freight place, yeah.
With Dr. Fish, of course.
With Dr. Fish. Couldn't forget Dr. Fish.
Yeah.
I can remember it like so vividly,
No,
which is crazy.
That was very scary. But that's the thing, is that'd be like a great like animation video. That'd be a great.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be a great voice over some Minecraft gameplay.
That one and the one that
There's so
may or
much.
may not go well. That was at the
May or may not go well.
the place that we
Place that we
had to bleach things at.
had to bleach things at. I'm not sure what you're referring to there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's like a whole
That's
upper level of things that
that's one of the
probably
ones-
don't have to be divulged.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing with that too is when you're getting out the bleach, you know, there's so much throw up. You know, so you really got to make sure the story's straight. Because
Yeah, right.
Because you got to get multiple point of views from that party.
Right.
You know, 'cause it was a great party. And
That's not even what I'm talking about.
no,
If that's what you.
no, trust me. With the hat,
The hat.
you're talking about the hat and the jacket and the
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
And the fox.
the Foxy. Foxy. I love Jimi Hendrix.
Uh,
Yeah, but no, that's what I mean. Is we've been around the block a few times, you know. But there's a couple of those ones where I want to. I just got to look stuff up first about it because I need to because it's been so long. You know what I mean?
right.
Where
I mean, I was definitely keeping an eye on it around that time, but it's definitely smart to
yeah,
keep up with that.
yeah. But I mean, I feel like that's it. Unless you wanna talk about anything else.
No, I think we got some good.
Yeah, I feel
Good
like
combo
that's a
going.
Good combo. Well, thank you everyone so much for watching. This was the Womp Cult podcast. Yeah. Have a good night.